We're so excited to have Angela Stroud on, running for the 73rd Assembly District, and it's always wonderful to hear what's happening up with our friends in the northern part of the state by Superior. So welcome, Angela.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
It's wonderful to have you here. Her website is Stroud for Wisconsin. That's STROUDFOR, stroudforwisconsin.com. You can look up Angela Stroud for Assembly on Facebook as well. So, Angela, tell us a bit about the district up there, because the lines have shifted.
Yeah, all new maps this year create a great opportunity statewide for us to win way more seats in the Assembly. But my district, the 73rd, now runs Superior to Bad River. It's the Lake Superior Watershed District. And it's a real opportunity for us to get strong, progressive representation. This is a very blue part of the state. You know, we hear so often about how rural spaces are all red, and that's just not true in Wisconsin. And it's definitely not true in the 73rd. We have a strong tradition of great Democratic leadership up here, but gerrymandering over the last few cycles has really cut people out. And so there's so much enthusiasm and excitement about having a progressive representing this area again, and I'm super excited to be a part of it.
I would go so far as to use the word, and I've used this for over a decade now, diabolical is what those gerrymandered maps looked like. Everybody knows that the areas around Madison, Milwaukee, Eau Claire, other large cities are blue. They may not know that way up in northwest Wisconsin, Superior to Ashland Bayfield, also solidly Democratic. Yeah. But Republicans carved up the map a decade ago in such a way that there were 0 Democratic assembly reps or senators in an area that is heavily Democratic because of the way they draw the line to put in much more rural area. So the district now is no longer that rigged, but I would dare hasten to add that doesn't mean you take a district like that for granted.
Not at all. We have no idea what the top of the ticket's going to do for turnout, for example, but also I don't think you can ever take voters for granted. I think we've learned lessons of doing that in the past. And I'm out there knocking doors, getting to meet as many people as possible, not only because I want to win the election, but because that's how you work effectively as a representative. I mean, that's how you hear from actual people about, for example, their childcare constraints. And you learn, for example, that many grandparents are already raising their grandchildren because of the opioid crisis. So there's no grandparents, JD Vance may not know this, to turn to because they're actually the ones raising the kids, because we have so broken so many rural communities. And so it's talking to people that allows you to learn what the real concerns of working and middle class people are. And that's what I do every single day. And it's an incredible job. I mean, I'm loving it.
Well, and you have like probably one of the most beautiful parts of the state, right? So that doesn't hurt, I'm sure, when you're out knocking on doors. But for those of us who, I'm in the Milwaukee suburbs, I was actually surprised looking right before this that district, even with the maps before, was like, has a history of being pretty blue. What are the Democratic policies that people in that area are really drawn to, and why has it been mostly blue?
Well, we have the city of Superior, which is a strong union city. I mean, that city is built by union labor, and unions vote Democratic because they know the Democratic Party is taking care of them. It's a working class party. And so that's a big part of that. On the eastern part of the district, we have a strong environmental element, but we also have 2 tribes. We have Bad River and Red Cliff in the 73rd. And so, you know, Native groups and Native populations vote for Democrats overwhelmingly, and they vote in huge numbers. And they do that because the concerns of the environment, the concerns of working class people are concerns that these populations tend to hold. And so that's really, you know, these 2 parts of the district have some slightly different elements, but they are strongly blue and have been for decades.
Yeah, and I think kind of building off of that too, on the environmental piece, I imagine being so close to the lake, which, I mean, I'm in Green Bay. It's hard to deny our love for Lake Michigan, but if you go to Lake Superior, it kind of changes you. So on that, if you could talk a little about the passion, and I'm sure a lot of voting that happens because of, you know, protecting our waters and the effects of PFAS and everything else. I imagine that's a really, really big issue in your district as well.
It's huge. I mean, protecting the lake is the number 1 issue in my campaign because it's the number 1 issue in this district. And it's the thing that most unites us, people from Superior all the way to Bad River. The lake connects us. And we live here in part because we love the lake, we love the woods, and we know it's our responsibility to protect it. If the people of the 73rd don't protect Lake Superior, no one else is going to. And there are so many threats. I mean, from PFAS, forever chemicals getting into our water supply, to a lot of this industrial infrastructure that's along the lakeshore that is routinely dumping or spilling chemicals into the lake, or could, the threat of that. I mean, this is something that we all take so seriously. Lake Superior is 10% of the world's fresh water, and we take it as our personal sort of obligation to make sure that we protect that.
And I love what you said, that it is the number one issue in your campaign because it is the number one issue among voters in your district. That is the kind of representative we want to elect people. They are supposed to be working for the people in the district. So it's just music to our ears. Are there any other big policy things you're hearing, especially as it relates to kind of some more national stuff and the top of the ticket? What are you hearing when you're talking to folks up there?
Reproductive freedom comes up all the time, and it comes up in ways, in places that you may not expect. When I knock on a door and it's a 20-something woman, it's no surprise that that's a concern. But what's amazing is when I knock on a door and literally I had a 94-year-old woman say, I cannot believe that women don't have rights over their own bodies, or men in their 60s or 30s or 40s. And so reproductive freedom is absolutely a huge concern. But another one that's really big in this region is public school funding. The city of Superior and the city of Ashland are at the floor of what's allowable for per pupil spending. And our public school funding system is completely broken. And a lot of people are discontent about our public schools. But what I think too few people realize is it's definitely not the fault of teachers. It's definitely not the fault of kids. And often it's not even the fault of administrators or school boards. The legislature is the most broken part of our public school system, and we have to fix it. And legislators have to take responsibility for this. I mean, this is our job to actually figure out school funding, and we haven't done the job.
No,
that's why people need to be replaced.
It's something that has been punted for an extremely long time, and where hopefully these new lines will get us started. Angela, we didn't even get time to talk about, say, the Apostle Islands National Park proposal, though that's more of a Tom Tiffany bad idea that we'll save for another time. But at least folks know about the Assembly District, the issues that are involved, and that they can reach out at stroudforwisconsin.com to learn more. Angela, thanks so much. We appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.